Hello and welcome to CMS Forex News. I'm market analyst Nick Nassad. Today is Wednesday, May 6, 2009. We begin in Australia, where retail sales rose 2.2% in March, a much better than expected increase that clawed back the losses seen in sales the previous month. Consumers spend big in department stores and on clothes, and a return to consumer spending should add to the reluctance by the RBA to cut interest rates any further. In a second release, the trade balance for Australia rose to 2.5 billion Australian dollars for the March period, which was a jump of 43% compared to the previous month. Imports fell 3%, while exports remained flat on the month. The Aussie, here shown against the yen, was down in the Asian session, hitting a low near 72 following the releases. However, after that, the pair firmed as stocks around the globe rallied, adding to the positive fundamental releases seen earlier. The open of the New York trading saw the pair jump to test its high from yesterday around the 74 level, though it turned back from that high. The Aussie saw similar price action against the dollar, though against the US dollar, the Aussie broke above yesterday's high. In the UK, consumer confidence, as measured by Nationwide, rose to a reading of 50, a much better than expected result, and the largest single monthly rise in nearly 2 years. The expectation index, which climbed to 70 from 57 last month, was the main contributor to the increase. In a second release, the UK services sector, though contracting yet again, slowed its pace of contraction compared to March. The index, which now stands at 48.7, is close to returning to the 50 level, which separates growth from contraction. A third release from the UK showed housing prices down 1.7% in April, with the annual rate down 17.7%. The monthly decline was larger than expected, but smaller than the decline in March. The pound-dollar pair, after retracing its gains from yesterday back to the 1.50 level overnight, retested yesterday's high near 1.5150. The pair gained following its services PMI release, but it wasn't until late New York trading that the pound rose above that level to set an intraday high. U.S. stocks were higher today as shares of banks rose as details emerged about the stress test results that looked better than expected. That helped spur some risk appetite for the pound, which has been a strong performer recently. Turning to the Eurozone, retail sales fell 0.6% in March, a result that surprised forecasts on the downside. The annual rate showed a decline of 4.2%, also below forecasts. That annual decline was also a record drop. So, while there are mounting signs that the rate of the Eurozone economic contraction is now moderating, the drop in retail sales should add concerns about the health of the consumer. In the U.S., a report on private sector employment showed payrolls were down an estimated 491,000 workers last month, a figure that was much lower than economists' forecasts and the fewest job losses since October. If the news signals a turnaround for the labor market, with job losses slowing, it would be a big boom to consumer confidence and help to further increase consumer spending after it was better than expected in the first quarter. The euro-dollar pair, after sliding yesterday, rose in today's trading, though there was plenty of back-and-forth action throughout the session. Still, the pair stayed within its recent range established on Monday. The pair jumped to set an intraday high at 1.3375 following the U.S. ADP employment data, which helped boost risk appetite, but for now the pair may consolidate as traders await the ECB's interest rate decision tomorrow morning. The dollar-yen pair, meanwhile, had similar price action to the euro-dollar. It fell overnight, rebounded to set an intraday high near 99 level, but then fell again in favor of the yen. It's the third day that the greenback was weaker against the yen after last week's rally stalled near 99.45. Canada released two better-than-expected reports today. The IV Index of Purchasing Managers bounced to 53.7 in April, a huge 10-point increase over March's reading, and a suggestion that the country's beleaguered manufacturing sector is maybe on the mend. A second release showed building permits climbing 23.5% in March, mostly because of a 48% surge in non-residential activity, suggesting that building activity could also be picking up. The US dollar-Canadian dollar pair rose initially today to trade around the 1.18 level, but as stocks in the US and Toronto rose, and oil prices were up as well, the loonie managed a strong 150 pip rally, bringing the pair down to 1.1650 in late New York trading. That set a new fresh 6-month high for the loonie. Tonight, look for employment data from both New Zealand and Australia. Overnight, Switzerland will release its consumer price index, while Germany posts data on factory orders. Tomorrow morning, both the Bank of England and the European Central Bank decide on interest rates, with traders eager to see what the ECB policymakers will do and say. Further, tomorrow, the U.S. will post data on jobless claims, labor productivity and costs, and consumer credit. And that wraps up today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us here at cmsfx.com, and happy trading.